Now, Vechain has really shocked me because it's been around since the last cycle back in 2017. But unlike similar projects like Neo or EOS, Vechain has rocketed through its previous all-time highs. So I'm not surprised that when I did a poll of which project I should cover next, that y'all voted for Vechain by far. But this is not going to be an overview or an explainer video. Instead, I'm going to dig in and share the pros and cons and my biggest open question about this project that I'm kind of struggling with. So if you're a VET investor or just curious about this project, then you're in the right place. Strap in, my friend, and let's dive right in. All right, so here's the thing. I think it's a great time to take a new look at Vechain in 2021 because it has evolved quite a bit since it officially started in 2015. They started off just focused on being a blockchain for supply chain stuff. Now it's still one of their strong suits, but they've expanded quite a bit. Like, they became more of a general purpose blockchain when they launched their mainnet in 2018. So you can run dApps on top, do ICOs, things like Ethereum really. One thing that people always talk about when they talk about Vechain are their partnerships. Like, they work with BMW, LVMH, Walmart, and other huge corporations. But there's something really strange and curious about their partnerships that I want to bring to your attention in a bit. But for now, a little bit more about Vechain in a nutshell. Like, of course, they're one of those super fast blockchains, right? And in order to do that, they use a proof of authority consensus model. I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but long story short, they don't have that many nodes, and you got a KYC to run a node. So it's pretty centralized, all things considered. Another key point to know is that they have two tokens. Their VET, which is their main one to store and transfer value, and then their Vechain Thor token, or VTHO, which is used like gas to process transactions. You can stake VET in order to vote and also get VTHO rewards. All right, so I hope that got you caught up to speed real quick. It's time for the fun stuff, looking at the pros and cons. I want to start off by saying I get it. I get why a lot of investors like Vechain. They have huge enterprise partnerships that most crypto projects cannot boast, like with BMW, PricewaterhouseCoopers, H&M, just to name a few, with most of them using Vechain's solution for supply chain purposes. They aren't just sitting on their partnerships and chilling though. They are consistently building and improving. I mean, if you look to their GitHub, they had around 3,000 commits over the past 3 years. Most of them spread out pretty evenly, being pushed every few months. But one huge upgrade that they plan to launch this year is a new consensus mechanism called Surface. Remember, they use proof of authority, but this is like their own POA 2.0. And basically the overarching goal with that is just to improve both the performance and security for all possible network conditions. And all of this great stuff is topped off by their long track record, which is quite valuable in the crypto world. Because we see so many projects appear just to attract money, and then their teams pretty much just retire. They don't really do anything besides fade away over time. But Vechain has been around for 6 years now, and they've outlasted their competitors for sure. Like Walton Chain, Ambrosis, Wabi, all of those are pretty much dead in my book. I mean, just look at the price action for those projects. They weren't even able to recover their previous all-time highs in USD value. So what that tells me is that the market has spoken and Vechain has won in this supply chain or logistics vertical. Now, no project is perfect, and there are things I don't like about Vechain either. Like, it really looks like they lack focus and like to chase new and shiny objects. Instead of doubling down and focus on being the best supply chain management solution out there, they were creating dApps and launching ICOs on their network. And now with this year's NFT craze, they announced their enterprise NFT solution called eNFTs. And I'm just here wondering, is that even a real use case that's in demand from their enterprises? Or are they just trying to ride the wave of hype like so many other crypto projects do? I mean, if I could give Sunny Liu, the CEO of Vechain, some unsolicited advice, I'd be like, just stop doing the retail-facing stuff, right? It's not working. Just look at these dApp radar stats, right? Pretty much no one is using their retail-facing apps. They should focus on what they're good at, enterprise solutions, specifically for supply chain management. Another concern I have is just that they're one of those super centralized crypto projects. I mean, I get why they need to be. They need to be super fast to support all the enterprise use cases. But here's the thing though, you can't use blockchain without having a token. In fact, that's what companies like IBM and SAP offer with their blockchain solutions. And many companies out there would rather use a permission blockchain to keep their data private. So they'd rather work with those companies like IBM or SAP instead of Vechain. So my point here is just that they have heavy competition, and it's not only constrained to the crypto space. And so they're gonna have to be even better in order to succeed long term. Now, before I share my top open question about Vechain, I want to point out that they are a China project. I mean, officially they're based in Singapore, but their origin, team, and connections are all from China. I mean, just look at that list of partners I showed you earlier. Half of their partners are Chinese companies, and probably those CEOs or buddies with Sunny Lu. Vechain has actually been trying to divorce themselves from that label, which makes sense with China continuing to crack down on crypto. But on a more positive note, I do think they are the best China project out there in my opinion. Better than Neo, Quantum, Ontology, and all the rest that have fizzled out. So just something for you to chew on as a potential investor. And on that note, one great place to buy VET and VTHO is actually Crypto.com, who's also our longtime sponsors for this channel. You can do so on their app and their exchange, as well as earn interest on your crypto and their interest accounts. And you can also spend crypto anywhere in the world that accepts Visa with their famous debit cards, which by the way, I've been using those for years now. So if you want to sign up and get a $25 bonus, you can do so by using my link down below. Now, about that huge question on my mind that I just can't seem to get past, and that is, are Vechain's partnerships even meaningful? Like, it's really hard to find information about this. Yeah, they have their master list of partnerships with dozens of companies, but many of them were just pilots or proof of concepts that was done years ago, with no updates as to if they ended up adopting the solution and are using it on a consistent basis. Per my estimation, the answer to that would be no, that few of them moved beyond the initial testing that was super hyped up when they were first announced, and that there's no mass adoption or usage by these partners that we'd otherwise be led to believe. Another open question people have been asking is, what's the role of the Vechain token in these partnerships? Because that's ultimately what would impact price. And the nature of these partnerships are very hush-hush and protected by NDAs. So we don't know if they're using some other products and services that Vechain has developed and calling that a partnership, even though it has nothing to do with the blockchain nor their tokens. I didn't want to just leave it at that though, so I went and researched further and asked on their forums about all this. And someone shared with me this site, which is their block explorer. And if you click on the transactions tab, you can see Walmart China, DNV, and Shanghai Gas actually using it for transactions daily. If that's accurate, this is pretty reassuring for VET investors. And for that DNV one, I wonder if it's that My Story app that they built a while ago. And that's for something that's called digital assurance. So one of the use cases there is for Italian wineries to tell the story of how their wine went from grapes to bottle through the entire supply chain. Seems like they are actually using it for that purpose, because you can see this picture of a wine bottle with a My Story code on the bottom right. Or this one, a food package with a My Story QR code, and I actually scanned it on my phone and it works. It showed me info about the temperature it was stored at, who the processor was, and things like that. Pretty neat if you ask me. Now, something I just want to put in front of you right now for food for thought. All these blockchain supply chain projects face one massive problem. It's called data integrity, or more simply, garbage in, garbage out. Just think about it, right? Blockchain offers a lot of amazing benefits for supply chain. Transparency, immutability, things like that. But if someone in the supply chain decides to cheat or trick the sensor by inputting the wrong data, then there's still not going to be useful information on the other end when we users take a look at all the fudged info on our phones. And that's a hard problem that's going to need a lot of creative solutions and processes to try to prevent it as much as possible. Now, if you liked this Vechain pros and cons piece, then you're in luck, because I have a whole series of these where I dissect the hottest projects, like this one right here about Axie Infinity, which I consider the absolute best NFT project I've ever seen. Or this one about Polygon or Matic, the best layer 2 solution in my eyes. Anyways, I'm Kevin from BFB. I hope to catch you on the next one, and cheers.